You're listening to DraftKings Network.
This podcast is sponsored by Monarch Money. Are you saving to reach your financial goals? Reaching those goals isn't just about getting more money, but by managing what you have. And the best way to manage your money? Monarch Money. Monarch Money is a new kind of finance app that's intuitive, powerful, ad-free, and takes the headaches out of budgeting. Try it free when you go to monarchmoney.com/podcast. Monarch puts all your accounts, investments, transactions, and finances at your fingertips. With a complete view of your finances, you'll gain insights on your spending and find new ways to save. Plus, Monarch lets you customize your dashboard, collaborate with your partner, set custom budgets and goals, and track your progress toward them. See why Mint users are turning to Monarch Money and loving it, and why the Wall Street Journal named Monarch Money the best budgeting app overall. Get a 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/podcast. That's MONARCH money.com/podcast for your free trial. monarchmoney.com/podcast.
Now's a good time to remember where the story of tequila started. In 1795, the first tequila distillery was opened by the Cuervo family. And 229 years later, Cuervo is still going strong. Family owned from the start, same family, same land. Now's a good time to enjoy Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. Go to Cuervo.com to shop tequila or visit a store near you. Cuervo, now's a good time. Trademarks owned by Beckley, SAB The CV. Copyright 2024. Proximo. Jersey City, New Jersey. Please drink responsibly.
We have a request here, Stugotz, that someone has written in. They want you to be sort of a performing monkey that jumps off of the street performer's shoulder and then goes into the streets and grabs money. All-time choke job from Rory. Someone writes in, if Stugotz doesn't open the National Hour with a scorching hot Rory choke job take, I might stop watching the show. That is peak DLS, and I need a taste of it again ASAP.
Okay, well, he choked, and I have plenty of takes on Rory. He's so close to being Tiger.
That's your take after a choke job? He's so close to being Tiger?
I'm not going to burn through the choke takes here before we go on air. I know we're doing this live for the YouTube audience, but I'm not going to burn all the takes I have on Rory. I was actually hoping that he didn't win, so I didn't have to say his name so much, but now I have to say his name even more.
Well, you can just call him Rory. Go ahead and try and say his last name.
McElroy?
There you go.
For real?
Yeah, that is how you say it. It's
Mackle, huh?
Mackle.
Not McElroy?
Right, Mackle. Not Mackle. The dyslexia that you have about reading.
I actually think he was going for a bit trying to say it wrong, and
I stumbled into
he
getting
stumbled
it right.
upon the right pronunciation.
It's always possible. You never know.
Well, it's better than Lucy saying Arnold Palmer.
Agree and Arnold Palmer now.
What do you think of this from Golf Digest? Because I think this was pretty good writing here on some details. Then Rory exits on how McIlroy left yesterday after losing. Then Rory exits, and he looks worse than before. He's wearing his failure to such an extent that I have to look away. Suddenly, he's being followed by a stream of people that includes the Netflix crew and the smiling face of Sergio Garcia.
Oh, God.
He is ahead of us all, and he exits the corridor into the players' parking lot. One bag goes in the trunk of a black Lexus, plate number ET4795, courtesy of Harry Diamond. They are moving fast. He says his quick goodbyes, gets behind the wheels, backs up. His next maneuver isn't quite a peel out, but you can hear the tires fight for traction, and it's a little fast for the crowded lot. That's reporting right on it right there. That is how angry was McIlroy's car as he left after choking.
I love a smiling Sergio Garcia, a smiling face of Live Golf, just waiting for Rory to remind him, you lost to a guy who plays for Live.
The smiling face of Sergio Garcia after you've choked again so that Stugotz can say you're so close to being Tiger. Chris Cote, do you and your family have an explanation for what's happening on the internet where a lot of people are writing some form of if the Oilers come back and win the cup, Cote will be blamed for jinxing the entire team and it won't be Greg. You don't hope your team loses ever. You never know.
You think it's just me and my dad? My mom is swooping in and going to her first game in like 2 years for Game 5.
Nice.
So now, if we lose Game 5, you can blame Erlene Cote, Greg Cote, and me for jinxing Roy. The Cote, I told my dad this yesterday. The Cotes need this Game 5 more than anybody.
I've been arguing with Mike all weekend about escalating all of the pressure on the Cotes in Edmonton by throwing some money at your father right now, going up on a billboard in Edmonton saying he was right about McDavid, even though he couldn't be more wrong about McDavid.
I'm terrified now, so I'm not doing anything else. I've done enough.
And you say he couldn't be more wrong about McDavid? Give it time. He can possibly be way more wrong about Connor McDavid.
But right now, today, he's still right. I don't care. They're up 3-1. McDavid scored a meaningless goal. I don't want to hear about it.
Stop talking about goal scoring. He's got the most assists in NHL postseason history this season.
That's great. I mean, they're down 3-1.
He's a leading point scorer in this series.
Yeah, but all Greg said is he needs a cup to validate the greatness, and he's down 3-1.
That's not all he said.
McOverrated.
Exactly right.
You can't back Greg Cote on a truly ridiculous take. When you say that's great to Mike saying more assists than ever.
How about scoring more goals?
He's passing Gretzky. That's great.
Right.
He's passing the great one.
Yeah, Gretzky has 5 rings. Rings plus minus. Put him in a box. Wayne, 5. McDavid, none.
Such a bad take. Billy's got a question. Billy's got a new game.
This game now, but this is not for the YouTube audience.
No.
No offense to the YouTube audience, but you got to stick around for this one.
You just offended the YouTube audience.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Where and when is it funnier for someone to go up 3-0 and then lose the series? Boston or this show? Boston or this show? If I put that in front of the audience and I ask which is funnier, go up 3-0, get that close to the cup, get that close to the championship, and then cough up the series.
Both. I'm going with both.
Okay, but I'm asking you to pick one.
I'm not picking one.
Well, both doesn't really work.
It would be really funny if this happened.
Yeah.
I think probably the probability is less than like 0%.
I'm not answering your question.
Well, it has to be better
It's
than
an either-or situation, though. I mean,
No, it's
never
so
happened.
funny no matter what happens. It's so funny. I'm telling you.
It's never happened, but that doesn't make the future probability of it 0%. At some
I meant
point,
1, but
Less
it's
than
early.
0.
Yeah.
Okay, it is early. That's it. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is it too early to know the difference between 0 and 1? Billy, what is the game that you want to play?
Oh, I want to play a game that I came up with, Dan, and I was thinking about this for a while. I know you're going to think, how did you come up with this game, Billy? It's because I'm a genius. This is the game. It's called What's Your Price?
I like that.
So, like, a lot of games, they'll give you a thing, and you have to guess what that thing costs, right? That's the opposite of What's Your Price. Here, you have the thing. So there's not a determined price, but everyone has a price. Yeah. So in this week's subject of What's Your Price, Chris Cote has tickets to Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final, where he is hoping to see his beloved Florida Panthers win their first Stanley Cup. Now, he has 2 tickets, Dan. He could use that second ticket for his wife. He could use it for his young daughter. It could be one of those core memories. I don't know if you've seen the movie about the feelings. In the feelings movie, they have the core memories that stick with you the entire
Inside
time.
Out?
That's the one.
Yeah. Saw that on Friday, the sequel.
How was the sequel?
I mean, beautiful. I mean, to see the girl grow and you introduce puberty into the mix, obviously a whole new slew of emotions.
Okay. I heard it was just rinse repeat on the first one.
Yeah, but new emotions.
What are the new
There's
emotions?
envy, anxiety,
Puberty.
embarrassment.
Yeah.
Embarrassment kind of steals the show.
All right, spoiler alert. Jeez Louise. Anyways, the point is, what's your price? So he could be creating a core memory for his daughter. He could be creating a core memory for himself, his wife. He has the ticket everybody wants. Yeah. And by the way, tickets are still available should you want to get them. But, you know, there you go to secondary market at this point. A place like a Game Time, maybe, perhaps, is where
Thank
you
you for the Vine, because I actually did that over the weekend. Dan, that 8-1 loss to the Edmonton Oilers cost me around $4,000 because I wanted lower bowl tickets to watch the Florida Panthers. And thankfully, I woke up early. I checked the all-in pricing on the Game Time app, and I decided, you know, I've lived 30 years on this planet. Well, I've lived more than that, but the Panthers have been on this earth for 30 years.
Well said. Yeah.
And I haven't really had the opportunity ever to see Lord Stanley lifted by my home team in its home barn. So I said YOLO, and I put in promo code DAN, $20 off the first purchase. I created an account for my wife. That's a nice little way to do it. Create an account, use promo code Dan, get $20 off. Also, if for whatever reason you're scouring the secondary market and you find a better price out there, Game Time will match it up to 110%. Great customer service. Game Time, flash deals, lowest price, guaranteed.
I want to put the question in front of Chris Cote, but before I do, Stugotz, you did see that in Boston, right? That's the most expensive ticket in the history of Boston sports. The cheapest way to get into Game 5 in Boston is a ticket for $1,715.
Man.
That is the cheapest ticket in Boston. Kyrie Irving has called it a cult, the Boston Celtics experience, and it's an expensive one. When it comes to this game in town with the Panthers, I had asked Zaslow, trying to see if we can put together something that resembles a watch party tomorrow for possibly winning the championship or laughing at our show because now everyone gets scared. And I asked Zaslow if he was going to the game, and his response was, I wish. This is a lifelong Panther fan trying to get into the game who cares deeply about it, but he can't get into the game because it's going to be a very popular ticket and a very expensive ticket, even though we've been making fun of the fact that none of those fans live south in Miami. They all live around the arena, but it's a very popular ticket, and I do want to talk about some of what it is that just happened because, Stugotz, Roy Bellamy went to Edmonton to watch Edmonton score 8 goals. There are photographs of a sad Roy Bellamy thinking he was going to watch the Panthers win the championship, and instead he's just stuck in Edmonton, and he watched them score 8 goals.
I know this trip for Roy wasn't cheap, and it would be a little bit funny if the Panthers lost Game 5 and he had to fly back to Edmonton for Game 6.
I'm rooting for it.
He's still not back from Edmonton. He should just stay there at this point. I don't think there's enough time for him to come back and go back.
He's not here today because he's traveling.
I think he's on the 4th of 4 connecting flights.
That's crazy.
It's 2,500 miles, and it was an enormous disaster. You've got Bobrovsky giving up 5 goals on 16 shots. He gets pulled from the game. And I was looking this up. You guys help me with this. Which one do you think is more likely this season? Edmonton scoring 8 goals in a game, or Edmonton being held to 4 goals in 3 games the way they were the first 3 games of the Stanley Cup Final? Because I'll tell you the answer to that. What's more likely is Edmonton scoring 8 times in a game. You don't hold them down for 3 games. That's not something that is possible, but maybe the best defense in the Stanley Cup in the playoffs. Maybe the best defensive team can indeed do that one more time in 3 games, but it's not likely that you're going to do it for 3 games.
I have a stat that I stole from television, Dan, if you'd like it on this exact subject. The last time the Oilers lost 3 straight games, they went on to win 16 straight after that. That's 4 Stanley Cups they're poised to win now.
Yeah, they've lost 3 games 3 times, and they've always rattled off big, long win streaks. The 16-gamer, the 8-gamer, a 5-gamer. They've won 8 games in a row twice this season.
I know it was a bad loss, but you guys aren't seriously nervous, right? Like, Mike, there's no way.
I'm scared of that offense, period.
Dan,
Dan's been scared of overwhelming offense all postseason long. So
I understand that, but they're up 3 games to 1, and 2 of the next 3 are at home if they indeed need them.
No, I'm not nervous yet. I was mad at that loss because it cost me a lot of money because I knew, well, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to be at Game 5. But if there's ever a scenario to make you overthink a 3-1 lead with the opportunity to close out a series at home, it's losing in that fashion, 8-1 with 3 days to chew on it.
It's the way that the Celtics also lost. They get blown out. But the part that I wanted to discuss with you guys as it relates to Mike and I arguing all weekend is I want to put up a billboard in Edmonton of Greg Cote being right about Connor McDavid being overrated, even though I think it's an inordinately dumb take and quintessentially both Cote and sports talk that you would just say, guy who's great, overrated, and then there we are. There's nothing else there. It's the flimsiest thing, but I want to put up a
storyline.
I want to put up a billboard. Yes, he's made it a storyline.
You can both be great and overrated at the same time.
You can be, but this particular person is not that.
He hasn't won a cup yet.
This is so Dan, because I had mentioned this McDavid discourse prior to the show, and he's like, what McDavid discourse? I'm like, you've got a lot of nerve, Dan Le Batard, absolving yourself from your role in this. As he pours gasoline. It's just Greg Cote? Yes. Is it just Greg Cote that is fighting to put up Greg Cote was right billboards all over the province of Alberta? Is that Greg Cote?
And by the way, we've done a little research on this. We're a little worried in the turnaround time, not the pricing of a billboard, but how quick we can get one up in Edmonton. So to pivot, we have found that you can do a skywriting for $2,000 over the stadium.
That's expensive.
You don't want that.
We could no, I'm sorry.
Edmonton does not have digital billboards?
I misread that. $14K for skywriting, $2K to fly a banner. If we want to fly a banner,
$20K to send Roy just back to a game
$2,000 fly a banner over the stadium that says Greg Cote was right.
I thought skywriting at 2K was too much. You're telling me now it's 14K?
Yeah, $14K for skywriting.
Because you're creating clouds.
Stop talking about billboards. Can we stop giving Greg Cote oxygen except the actual oxygen he truly needs and grasps for every time he's in with us on Tuesdays?
We also, if we're going to do this, not that I'm saying we should or shouldn't, but if we're a little more clever than just Greg Cote is right. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it should say something along the lines of McOverrated, and you know it.
Do we have the clip? Do we have that clip of who that is from earlier this season? Because this is who you're touting. This is the man, the hockey expert, the voice of South Florida, a columnist for generations, the guy that started a big controversy in Canada. I heard from Canadians this isn't just some made-up thing. They got really pissed off with the week that they had to chew on this. This is who they're mad at.
Connor McDavid.
That is Greg Cote reacting to a photo of not Connor McDavid, Jack Hughes.
Right. Well, if he won a cup, I guarantee you Greg would have known who he was.
Zagak.
Right.
Why are you giving me quotes on skywriting when I asked for quotes on billboards?
Because I just told you, like, what do you want the billboard up in 3 weeks? Like, we need this to be quick. Like,
the digital
I'm just telling you, we've done a little research on this, and we're worried. Like, I don't think they have a lot of video ones.
I was against this from the moment Dan mentioned it, because what beef is there with Alberta? This is not Tampa. This is not Boston, where there's already a sports rivalry and they played. This is not New York, where they played and you had feisty exchanges with fans. This has been relatively classy. But then I was made aware of a billboard that was put up.
Well, hold on a second before you keep going down this path, because I don't know who made you aware of it. When you sent me the photo, I assumed that you were driving on I-95 and you had seen it. But Mike's turn on this weekend, he spent the entire weekend telling me how wrong it was to do this before the series ends and how we're going to jinx McDavid, even though he told me the same thing when I said, let's put up in the merch store the McOverrated shirts. And then what the Panthers did is win the next 3 games because he doesn't want this person agitated. He is rightly scared of this person. And we don't have beef with Edmonton of any sort. But then Mike comes around when he gets sent this billboard that's up in South Florida, Edmonton, home of 5 cups and 0 rats. Explore Edmonton, Canada's hockey city. That is what changed your mind?
Yeah, they drew first blood. Wow. I was trying to be classy. City of Edmonton, Alberta. I have put out so many fires here. The discourse would have been out of control had I not been here trying to play whack-a-mole with these jinxes over here. But then you slipped through the cracks and you drew first blood when it came to billboards.
I feel like this isn't a beef with Edmonton, though, right? Like, you should put this outside of Mike Johnson's house.
Yeah, yes, no doubt.
Like, find out wherever
Yes.
he lives and the
Right.
nearest billboard to him, so he has to drive by it every day.
What do we think Roy did on Father's Day in Edmonton yesterday?
Oh, boy.
It was wild because he is still traveling here. The game ended on Friday, so he decided willingly, like, for Father's Day, I just want to spend, the game ended on Saturday. He wanted to spend his entire Sunday in Edmonton, Alberta, because he was like, I don't know if I'll ever be here again, which is actually like a pretty legitimate thought to cross your mind.
I've heard it's Canada's hockey city.
Does
No rats,
Edmonton
too.
does Edmonton indeed have 0 rats? That can't be true. That can't.
At a certain point, is it too cold for rats to thrive?
No.
Well, I think it's like termites. They
They
don't
just get fatter.
They don't exist.
Folks, the Dan Batard Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, this year has gone by very quickly. Reaching the halfway point of the year is an excellent time to reflect on your mental health journey, assess your progress, make plans for the future. Ask yourself, what's something you're proud of so far in 2024? What's something you still want to accomplish this year? When life goes fast, it's important to take a moment to celebrate your wins and adjust what currently doesn't work for the rest of the year. Therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time, no additional charge. Reflecting on the first half of the year and planning for the next can help you stay proactive about your mental health. Take a moment, visit betterhelp.com/DLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DLB.
Dan Le Batard.
Our Panther group chat, we're confident against the Lightning. This is a different team.
You're a Panther group chat, though.
No, I think but dude, you're so wrong on that. We've been terrified of this team forever, and I think there's a different energy where the Panthers, they want the Lightning.
Stugotz.
I want T-shirts made for this Panther run. What could be this Panther run? Our Panther group chat. We're not afraid of the Lightning.
That's a tagline for World War 3.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I feel like you guys are trying to derail from what's your price.
Chris, what's your price?
My price is $2,500 for my wife's ticket.
Well, no one's going to buy one
Just
ticket.
your wife's, because you're going no matter what.
What do you actually... hold on a second. What do you think, like, if Chris Cote were to say, I will sell my ticket and you can go to the game with me, what do you think that would fetch, like, amongst the listeners?
So he's selling one ticket now, you get to go with Chris Cote.
Yeah, but if you put your ticket on sale by itself, I don't know that it would sell. Now, if you put your ticket out there publicly, like, come to the game with me, what do you think you could get for that?
I don't know. This game, probably a lot, probably $2,500, but I'm not going to do that to my wife. $3,000 I will, though.
But would you do it for $2,750?
You do it for $2,500. I mean, let's.
My wife would more want to do it for that than I would.
I think your wife would do it for $1,800.
Yeah, I'm not. I could ask her. I could say, "What's your price tonight?"
Yeah, ask her.
But she gets to spend the money. It's her ticket.
Whoa.
Why would you get the money and
They
you
put a
get
lot of money into these tickets. It's just going right back into the pool.
Mm-hmm. Alberta has no rats.
80-20 your way, Chris, in the negotiations with your wife? Because I think we should now do this. I think we should now test your theory on how much money, what is your actual price to betray your wife, or just to have your wife have more money because she'd prefer to have the money than go to the game with you. I believe we could sell this to a fan for an amount of money that gets both her and your attention. Is that something that you think she'd be willing in any way to do? Because, again, someone is writing in, if the Oilers come back and win the Cup, it'd be great if an Oiler fan bought her ticket.
Ooh, that would be cool.
If the Oilers come back and win the Cup, Cote will be blamed for jinxing the entire team, and it won't be Greg. You do not hope your team loses, Chris, ever, because you never know.
If you go back to the tape, I did say I wanted to win Game 4. I just kind of said it would be funny if Roy came back with a loss. Like I said, both of those things.
You do a lot of laughing this weekend?
No.
Jessica, can you look up for me whether rats have any sort of issues with Edmonton winters that would make it so that how could Edmonton put on a billboard here the false advertising of of rats. I didn't know that termites did not exist other places. That's not something I knew.
No, I don't know if that's true either. I think we should maybe sue them for false advertising. And maybe that's how we get the money to pay for Roy to come back to Miami.
Mm-hmm. He's on his way back. And that
Do
had
you know
to
that
be,
for sure?
We don't know that for sure. It did remind me, though, his entire experience. I've told you guys this story before. I made the mistake one time of I was covering something with Jimmy Johnson in Key West, and the Miami Herald needed a credential to qualify for World Cup credentials, and so they had to cover one more soccer game. And so I was sent in an emergency to Uruguay to, and I'm like just in a panic, and it's winter there, and I don't know it. So I'm getting off a boat in the Keys, and I'm going to Uruguay, and I'm running through wintry streets in shorts, and people are yelling "Estúpido" because it's winter, and I end up going there and watching a 0-0 game. A 0-0 game I didn't want to cover that we just had to get a press credential for. So I went there to see no goals. Roy topped me. Going to Edmonton, 2,500 miles to watch your team lose 8-1, you're immediately out of it. Your goalie gets pulled. That's a bigger disaster than me running through the streets of Uruguay being called estúpido.
Alberta, Canada has been considered rat-free since the 1950s due to its rat control program, which aims to prevent rats from establishing themselves in the province. However, small infestations have occurred, and in 2022, 31 rats were found in the province, up from 26 in 2020.
So explain this to me again. Explain to me
it's
how
rat-free, but there's 31 of them.
Yeah, we can sue them. Also, termites have never been reported in Alaska.
Wow.
What?
Put it on the poll. Did you know there were no termites reported in Alaska?
There's no narwhals in Miami.
That's true. You're always helpful. That
Opposite side of the coin, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Think of all those log cabins. They would love to be in Alaska.
Yeah, you think. Maybe they don't know.
Are you guys worried at all that Tkachuk has 1 goal in 15 games?
I'm worried that he's slow for this series, and it's not really ever something that we've noticed. I think that there was one goal, actually the one McDavid goal, he was already pointing the second McDavid got ahead of steam to Carter Verhaeghe. You need to cover that.
Somebody catch it.
Yeah, and I think that there were a lot of mistakes. Tkachuk had a giveaway that led to a goal. It actually led to a giveaway that put Ekblad in a position where he would make the worst decision, and it was really frustrating because Ekblad's been so good throughout this run. We've jumped down him one time. We apologized for it on Friday, and then he had his second worst performance ever, putting everybody in bad spots. And I know he's fighting through injuries, and that's something that you have to watch because Ekblad powering through an injury is a much more deficient Aaron Ekblad. He is not the same kind of player, so hopefully you can survive it and everybody can just play a little bit tighter. But to answer your original question, yeah, both defensively, the recklessness, the fact that he's not scoring goals, the fact that he's not getting assists, it's a little cause for concern, but also you're up 3-1 in spite of him not registering like that.
Maybe I don't understand hockey, and I don't think that's what it is. But we're concerned about Ekblad only having scored 1 goal in 15 games. But McDavid...
Tkachuk.
But McDavid's only scored 1 goal in what feels like 15 games, and we're still saying he's the greatest ever.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a bunch of assists. And that's also Tkachuk's game. That's mainly his game. He's a lot like Connor McDavid in that... Well, the only way he's a lot like Connor McDavid is that he's not a score-first player. He sets his teammates up. Again... Connor McDavid is not the leading scorer on his team. He's not second leading goal scorer on his team, but he's still called the greatest for the very reason that he can rack up points like assists.
But his job is to score goals. It's not to get assists.
Who,
right?
Matthew,
He's a goal scorer.
Matthew Tkachuk's job?
No, McDavid.
No. It's literally the opposite of what I said. He's not a score-first player. His goal every season is to be like, let me turn Zach Hyman into a 50-goal scorer.
I don't understand what you're doing, Stugotz, because you were convincing me last week how great Tatum was because he was providing shots for everybody else while going 6 for 22. Like
right.
You did that all
different sport, Dano.
Okay, very good.
I mean, I think Connor McDavid, I think goal scorer. That's what I think of. Not a guy who makes others better.
Let me ask you a question.
Sorry.
When you think of Wayne Gretzky, what do you think of?
I think of the great one.
Yeah, but what do you think of?
Stanley Cups and rings.
Well,
he's got 5
you
of
said
those.
in the pre-show thing that he's won 5.
Yeah.
He's won 4.
So the 5th one came with the Kings. They beat Edmonton in the Western Conference Finals to get to the Stanley Cup. If you bring the LA Kings while beating Edmonton, okay, along the way, you bring to the Kings to the Stanley Cup, a lousy organization. I don't care they get swept by Calgary with Gretzky there. That's like winning a Stanley Cup. So he has won 5, yeah.
But he doesn't lose one for Edmonton winning one without him?
Matter. Yeah.
I feel like I'm informing you of these things.
You are.
So how much is Chris's wife's ticket going for presently?
Well, a guy tweeted me $1,900. My wife threw up $3K question mark
No,
with like
that's way
with
too
a
much.
emoji.
No.
Like a shrug.
A shrug emoji.
This goes to charity, right? Because we're doing it on the air.
No.
No, well, is your wife's name Charity?
Mike, do you think they make any adjustments to the fourth line?
I thought the fourth line, wow, I love that transition. Wow, it's such a geeky transition that Dan would never stand for.
Well, it's just I wonder if they're just going to stay because we're up 3-1.
You would hope that your veterans, and I think that a lot of the stats for the fourth line were a little skewed, Chris, in that they were on the ice way more because it was such a blowout. But I didn't think they had a good game. It was probably their weakest game of the series. So do you inject a Lomberg? Do you inject a Nick Cousins to maybe get a little scoring punch there?
The crowd would go nuts.
Or do
for
you
Lomberg.
just trust that fourth line has been one of the better lines all postseason long, and you have a veteran leader, even though he was out there for 15 seconds on the too many men penalty. You'd like for Oposo to be on the ice in the event that they win it, just because he's been trying for so long. But I guess, Chris, maybe Ryan Lomberg in there because Steven Lorentz hasn't been much.
A person writes in, I cannot bleeping wait for this Stanley Cup stuff to be over because whenever it is that we get obsessed with basketball or hockey playoffs or just local sports in general, people end up getting mad at us. But I want to address Jessica's question here when she asked, how do you think Roy enjoyed his Father's Day? Because Lewis in video came in today and asked the question, did anyone on Father's Day actually get what they wanted? Because most of the fathers I know on Father's Day want to be left alone and don't get what they wanted. Mm-hmm. And I am curious, did you guys have the Father's Days that you wanted? Did you get the Father's Day you deserved?
Yeah, I wanted that. My wife asked me, do I want to go on the boat? Do I want to play golf? Do I want to do anything? I said, no, I want to take a bunch of gummies and sit there on that couch and not be moved. I want to watch a bunch of dudes turn left on a short oval, and I got to do just that. They were in Iowa.
The Iowa Corn 350, I believe.
Powered by
what
ethanol.
A name.
Watch Rory collapse.
I watched some of that. That was on the second TV. I enjoyed Rory
Second
missing.
TV?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there was the UFL championship. I had to watch Tom Brady call a game.
Oh, wow.
Euros are going on. We're in the middle, like this week. Copa America and Euro are going to be going on at the exact same time. Summer soccer equinox. I was also watching the time trials in Indianapolis for a swimming team. I was all over. It was a perfect Sunday. I didn't move.
Billy?
Me and my daughter's got matching pajamas.
Oh.
Dan le Batard.
Did someone say conservative entity?
Wow! No!
What?
Oh, see, this is why.
Stugotz.
Wait,
Hers was
five?
better than mine.
In the fifth Sagaki.
Yours was Fleming.
How is the fifth Sagaki better than the third and the fourth Sagaki already?
This is the Dan le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Lest you think he is simply a character, the entitlement of Stugotz knows no bounds. He just looked into the shipping container and said, how about instead of an 8:30 tip, you give me an 8 o'clock start, and you give me the basketball on Sunday night, and you give me the hockey game tonight. He does not care how long it takes to travel to any of these places, how hard it is to schedule stuff. He just wants his games when he wants them, and he wants the tip-off to be a half hour earlier, and 24 hours and a half hour earlier. He wanted 8 p.m. last night, even though these teams have to travel, and in the case of Florida and Edmonton, it's a hell of a flight.
If they played the game on Sunday night, actually the NBA Finals, I would have asked for a 7:30 tip on a Sunday night, Father's Day. How you don't have an NBA Finals game Sunday after the U.S. Open on Father's Day? Everyone's home. Everyone's hanging out. Dan, that is a disgrace. I am serious.
A disgrace.
You have to have the NBA game Sunday, the Stanley Cup Final tonight. What are we doing? And I'm sorry, I don't care about the travel. Those teams are traveling on private jets. I don't want to hear about it. Get to South Florida and play a hockey game tonight.
That's why the UFL got it right. Championship game, Father's Day, 6 p.m. Everyone was glued to it.
Yep.
I think that fathers are out at 6 p.m. on Father's Day. They're having Father's Day dinner, are they not? All I saw, I couldn't get a reservation at a place I was trying to get into.
We were feasting on Rory's tears. That's what we were doing. I mean,
I thought
delicious Father's Day dinner.
Oh.
Father's Day was 6 p.m. last night. I thought that's when people are not gathering around a television. They're gathering at dinner. Certainly at the restaurant I was trying to get into, that's where they were, because it cleared out shortly afterward. It got a lot younger the moment it is that the fathers got out of there.
Good planning by you.
Yeah. Did you get the resi? Or,
no, I didn't get the resi.
Drop the name?
I had to go later. I did not. I do not do that.
To be fair, the restaurant's called Poppy Steak. I mean, it's obviously a Father's Day destination.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 p.m. call time surprised both me and the restaurant. They were not expecting to be full. They're usually slower on Sunday nights. They were not expecting a 6 p.m. rush of old dads who have to eat early. But I don't think of 6 p.m. on Father's Day, other than, Billy wearing his pajamas with his daughters. I don't think of 6 p.m. Father's Day being home. I think of it like, where is it brunch? Like, what do you guys do on Father's
brunch,
Day?
Yeah, Stu, get it over with. Yeah.
Stu, I'm curious how your experience with Father's Day went now that your kids are off in school. And it was also the rare Father's Day that also lands on your wife's birthday. So you were not even considered yesterday.
I was not considered. Well, it's interesting. We had this conversation. Which one carries more weight around the house? A birthday? Which one takes precedent?
Birthday.
A birthday?
Yeah.
It does, huh?
Well, Father's Day moves around.
I learned yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm learning it, but I didn't verify it. I didn't go look it up, but that Father's Day was created as simply a commercial holiday because mothers already had a day. June was a time where commerce slowed down and they needed something.
They're all commercial.
Of course, but that Father's Day was specifically created as a reaction to June is slow as a commerce time, and this is a way to get the economy to be filled in a way that Mother's Day does it with restaurants.
Engagement rings, that was totally made up by a jewelry company. They just manifested that being a tradition, that you would spend 3 months' salary on a ring to just ask someone to marry you.
And I heard the diamond market in free fall right now because those lab-grown diamonds, they look real. Everyone says, oh, you can tell. You can't tell. Trust me.
Is the 4th of July real? Do we know? I mean,
No, that's made up.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards and Manny Ramirez both would wear $40 earrings that people thought were actually very expensive because they're just trying to give off the look instead of...
4th of July was not made commercially. It was not like the commercial...
Is it real?
Where were you
aspects.
going with that question? Because I kind of ended
not
that, and
considered
something that I wonder where that path
but Halloween
This
was.
is what you two do. He throws it to you.
I feel like that was beneficial to the show, ending that right away.
He throws it to you. You agree. You throw it to him. He agrees, and there is nothing else. It's just
Is Christmas real?
4
I
syllables.
kept us moving on that one.
So Mother's Day was since the dawn of time, and then like someone was like, hey, there should be a Father's Day too. How did Mother's Day come about?
It's got to be the same way, I would imagine. We should look that up. Let me ask you guys something that happened over the weekend that I thought was super awkward at how it happened, and it didn't seem like anybody was prepared for it in any way. Charles Barkley retired, and he did so his own way, but he was on the set with a bunch of people he's not normally on the set with. It's a post-game show, and it's not part of what it is that they do every night that's so popular. It was with not the normal people. It
was NBA TV, right? It was Steve Smith.
It was really an unusual place for him in the middle of the night after a game to just tell everybody, and I've decided to retire. And then TNT's statement is, we're going to discuss all of this with Charles. Like that we don't, he just caught us off guard. And Charles can say whatever that he wants, but they're going to try to talk him out of this. And at the very least, that's not the way they wanted him to do it. And of course, Charles Barkley doesn't care how you want him to do it. But what did you make of all of it?
I'm not certain that he's going to retire. It was an odd spot to do it, an odd place to do it. You would think he would do it with Ernie and Kenny and Shaq and make some sort of announcement. I understand why TNT and Turner would want that. I think Barkley is emotional right now. I think they're all emotional. They should be. I'm not certain that Charles Barkley, because he's going to have so many offers and so many opportunities, be it at Turner or ESPN or elsewhere, I'm not certain if he's just caught up in the emotion or he's actually going to go through with it.
I will tell you when he was considering the live stuff and, he was trying to talk himself into the idea of taking a ton of money because of what he could do to help people with that money, even though he was getting very strong advice to not do that. He really was hurting trying to make that decision. Now, I know all of us think these are maximum grade options. They're first world problems. You're getting millions of dollars. Why are you struggling with all of this? But he really struggled with that and then finally put a deadline on that because he was tired of going back and forth and hearing from a variety of different people. The amount of pressure that Barkley must feel to keep the whole thing together as it falls apart because he's the centerpiece of the whole thing, and if they lose the rights and Ernie doesn't want to leave and the show gets ruined, he doesn't want to do it in some distorted form. I do believe Stugotz's analysis is right. He's tired of being emotional about this, and he just went emotion from the hip. I'm done. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I've told everyone no more interviews. Don't start calling me about this. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm tired at the end of a long season. I want to go on vacation. But he's legitimately tired of being pressured by all of the people who want him to work for them. Like, he's telling everybody go away when he could maximize the options on this and create enormous leverage. And he's saying that I'm tired of this right now.
Well, he could be creating enormous leverage. Keep in mind that this was an announcement that he'd be retiring after the following season. So he gets a year-long going away party. And you mentioned the Liv stuff. I recall prior to him negotiating with Liv, him saying he was never going to take another media job ever than what he had with Turner. He's been talking retirement openly and publicly for 5 years, and then he keeps re-upping. So I'd say, and to quote David Sampson, wait to see.
He's been hinting at retirement, like Mike said, a number of times,
not
and then
hinting,
re-signed.
Billy,
well, he hasn't retired, so it is hinting.
I mean, it's not hinting. It's straight up lying about it.
Well, he hasn't retired yet. And also, there's reports that, the Turner deal, while they didn't get the deal that they had, they were trying to work something out with Turner, whether they broadcast, regional
Silver
games or
found,
whatever.
it's hilarious. Silver found another TV package under the couch. It was
they're
amazing.
now trying to work into TNT, so, the show may not even go away. We have a year to figure this out, but, if they rework Turner in the NBA and the show continues, you think that after this year he's still going to retire?
I don't know, because I think predicting his behavior can be very difficult because it hasn't been hinting at retirement. He has been talking publicly and privately about actually retiring at the age of 60, and he did surprise me when he signed another contract at the age of 60 because of how he's been talking about that for a while. He does want to slow down the amount of obligations that he has, but he hasn't been able to do it for whatever the reasons. I don't think that the reasons are just money, because I was surprised at everything that happened this weekend because he just signed another contract where it seemed to me, and it could be just public leverage, but he can be doing this privately and still have that leverage.
And the initial Turner deal that he signed only added to his responsibilities. Now, the show has since been canceled, but he had a CNN show. He had other obligations that went into a larger deal with Turner. I think it's right to place some scrutiny on what his motivations are here, just because he's shown you that no matter all his talk, he does end up signing the big fat deals.
But at best, though, he's put his employer in the position of saying, wait a minute, hold on a second, publicly.
I'm a fan of what he's doing publicly, because he's done 3 media hits where he's very clearly applying public pressure against Turner, talking about his bosses with some contempt occasionally. He wants to negotiate this in the public space because that's where he's getting the most support. People understandably love that show, and they don't want to see it go away. I did find it really funny that we just invented a 4th TV package that the kind folks at Turner are negotiating on presently.
His recent deal was a $100 million deal. I have a hard time seeing Barkley walking away from that kind of money.
Stugotz,
I do.
He just maybe.
I know what he did. I know what he said.
Though.
Right.
It's 10 years. He signed a 10-year deal and told you this is the first few months of a 10-year deal that he's telling you, I'm ready to walk away from whatever the rest of this deal is.
But it's not just money. In this industry, and it doesn't matter who the person is. Like, there's ego involved. You think that he's going to be fine with going on once a week, twice a week, whatever it is, every day or every week for 20 plus years to just disappearing without people knowing what he thinks about XYZ? Like, it's not going to be an easy thing for him to just decide to do, money aside.
But Billy, he is approaching an age where one day it'll just do the math for him, right? Like, he has made a ton of money, and we are getting to that point north of 60 where you can actually start legitimately saying these are real threats, because he's been talking retirement since his early 50s.
But he signed up for 70.
I know. That's the proof is in the pudding. Right. Like, he if there is a huge pile of money and someone goes the extra mile for him, he generally takes it.
Billy, you think he's not going to have other options to do whatever the hell he wants?
Well, he's not going to retire. He's going to do something.
Yeah, and so but he'd have whatever options that he wants.
Yes.
He could create whatever job that he wishes to create on his own time. He's got maximum freedom.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. It is hot. It is damp. It is summer, and it's the perfect time for grilling outside over an open flame or charcoal grill or propane. I'm not really sure. I'm not really all that manly. I think you guys can tell, but once a year, I'll bring out that brush and I'll scrub down the grill and I'll make myself a nice meaty feast. And you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm doing so with a Miller Lite in my hand, because Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality. Tastes as great as your barbecue. It's a beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. The light beer with the most taste, less filling, and only 96 calories. The perfect companion for grill masters all across America, or people like me who grill maybe once a summer, but take a sip of that Miller Lite and realize that no matter what, it's going to be a good day. With a Miller Lite in your hand, grilling doesn't just taste great. It tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.